Hi, Christy here, Real Fit for Real Life, and as promised, we're going to chat a little bit about running shoes. Okay, so there was all this buzz a few years ago, several years ago, time flies, about barefoot running. And I was born to run, and I went to a book chat and met the author, and he's a really cool guy, and like he's totally barefoot as he presents, and I love it because I'm such a yogi. And I kind of hopped on board with that. Like, again, I love yoga, I love the idea of alignment and the chi running, so I was all on board with the barefoot running. Of course, I wanted to keep it practical, so I went to the store and I was gonna try on those toe shoes, the Vibrams shoes, and I just like love that idea. But I've got these long toes, so I tried on the Vibrams, and if it fit my toes, it was just falling off the heel, and if it fit my heel, my toes were curled up, and so they didn't work for me. So I thought, okay, so what else can I do that is kind of like minimal, really minimal? And I knew enough about the human body to know that I could not transition from like a regular, you know, like here's a regular old school kind of running shoe. These are my daughter's shoes, actually. So, you know, I ran like a regular sneaker, and I got Achilles tendonitis from running in a regular sneaker. Really bad. And so that's kind of when I was like, I've got to change something about the way I'm running. And once I read the Chi Running and the Born to Run, I was like, I'm going to try this more minimal approach. But I knew I had to transition slowly. So I just went to the store and bought some like athletic dance type shoes that were more for everyday wear but had less of a heel, and that were comfortable and didn't have too much cushioning. So I gradually, you know, just over time trained with less and less of a heel lift until I got to, and don't do it overnight. People who say I'm gonna go barefoot running or minimal, zero drop, and they switch shoes overnight, you're going to hurt. Everything is going to hurt, and you're going to think, ooh, this is the worst idea ever. I can't run like this. So don't rush. Always transition slowly. I spent over a year transitioning from like a huge heel to a zero drop. So now I run in these. These are New Balance. Hopefully New Balance, you know, if they want to throw me a free pair of shoes, I'd love it, because this is my shoe of choice, is the New Balance. Everybody's different though. So the key is go to your local running store, ask around, get reviews. A good running store will have you either run outside, forward and back, so they can really see you in action, or put you on a treadmill and video you. If they've got slow-mo, that's really useful, because then you can really see how you're landing. But I always say, change your form first before trying to fix the shoes. Like people say, well, here, you overpronate or you oversupinate, so here's some shoes that will help you continue this action. And I just don't believe in that. I believe fix that problem if you can. Again, it's gonna take time and you have to be patient, but I just think you can teach those muscles to do what they need to do. You've just got to do the right exercises and spend the time and be patient. So I used to kind of pronate a little too much, and I just trained myself to find my outer edges of my feet. Pronating means you fall in, and that can be a huge problem on your knees for runners. So what do? They build shoes that help you to not do that. They put like a bar in there to help you not fall in. I would rather my clients just figure out that they're doing that and retrain their feet to be more neutral. And then ideally everyone's in a neutral shoe, because you're teaching your foot to do the right action instead of having a shoe try to change what you're doing, if that makes any sense. So hopefully you can train your foot to be a neutral, but go to a running store that gives you some kind of assessment, and then they can tell you. Also, figure out what a good stride is for you. I know talking about shoes really overlaps with talking about form, which will be a totally different video. So I'll try to just stay on topic with the shoes. Sometimes be aware that they're still pushing a product on you. And because shoe stores can't carry every brand, they carry, you know, just a few that they've chosen are the most popular. It doesn't mean that it's the shoe for you or the brand for you, but that's what they carry. So they are determined to get you into one of their shoes. And I went to a shoe store, and they were awesome and so helpful, but they were so obsessed with this one brand, just crazy obsessed with it. And it was a lot of shoe, like so much. So it had these little rubber bouncy things, and it was just a big shoe. And I am minimal, and of course the owner there was very anti-minimal. So that's the other thing, be careful where you're shopping, because not everyone is like on board with your beliefs and wants to, you know, push you away from whatever it is you're doing. And again, at the same time, I'm not saying that you need to be minimal, that everyone needs to be a minimal runner. Some people do need that extra cushioning, and some people are okay with a little bit of a heel because that's what they always wear. That's what they're used to. That's what their body knows. It gives them a little bit of a forward action. Everybody's different. My husband runs in, I want to say Brooks, and his shoes have heels, but they have solved his, you know, when he first started running, he had bad knee issues, and this shoe totally like cured that. So who am I to say, no, you need to run like exactly like I do? Just figure out what works for you, okay? So many people who run in a lot of cushion and heel end up with plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis. Huge problems. So buyer beware. I know as I say, don't do what Christy does, and then I say, do what Christy does. But you know what I mean. Okay. So New Balance. What I like about these is the bottom is made by Vibram. So they've got the same outline and the same toe box. And toe box is really important. So find a shoe that the toe box feels good to you. I am friends with the owner, with the CFO or something of Altras running shoes, and I love their concept, and I love their zero drop, and I love the way they feel. But the toe box didn't quite fit my foot. My feet run narrow, and so the toe box was just a little too wide and didn't fit the shape of my foot. So just because a shoe has a great concept and it's awesome, if it doesn't fit your foot profile, it's not going to work. Just like these are amazing for my foot profile, they might not work for yours if you've got wider feet or, you know, just whatever. But this works for me. Now, one problem that I have had is that one foot is a half size smaller than the other. So in a perfect world, if I, you know, were super duper rich, I would just buy 2 pairs of shoes and throw out the one that doesn't fit and always have. But I don't do that. Instead, I buy just whichever size feels the best, and I keep my right shoe laced tighter and my left shoe laced looser. And that's how I get around that. But anyway, these are my go-to shoes. You'll notice the zero drop just refers to like where the heel is and the toes. Zero drop means there's no millimeters. There's no height. So I do not have a heel at all. The other benefit of running minimal with the zero drop is it builds the most amazing, and I don't know with this camera, I'm sure you can't see because I didn't set it that low, but I get compliments of my calves a lot. I do have great calves. Kind of love my calves. And I credit minimal running for building my amazing calves. And tibialis anterior, so the front. So that has really helped me to not get shin splints. The other thing about, the reason why people push minimal is because it makes you more aware of how heavy you're striking the ground, and it gives you more like kinesthetic awareness, proprioceptive awareness. You're just more aware of the ground and the textures, and you run lighter and smarter because you're making more connections. So that's the minimal. And then These are the same thing. These are for trail though, so they've got a lot more tread if you're doing trail running, which I highly recommend. The beautiful thing about trail running is it's not asphalt. And if you can find a trail that's like a soft soil, it's so much easier on your body. So easier on your joints. Now trail running can be harder in the aspect that you are sometimes running on rocks or tree roots, and so you have to really be so alert constantly when you're trail running, and you're just always watching that ground. So that's a little bit about running shoes. You know, often we ask our friends, what running shoes do you love? What you should be asking is, let me see your feet. Because if your friend's foot is nothing like your foot, you don't want to be running in the shoe that they're running in. They have a completely different foot. So I like to look for my foot twin and ask them, what running shoe do you love? Be aware that, you know, that anything on the inside, if there's any kind of thing that seems like minuscule of an annoyance, if you're running on that little, like even if it's just a little pill in your sock, you know, like the fabric pills up, even if it's just a little teeny thing, run on that for 4 miles and you will get the biggest blister. So blisters are a huge issue. It usually has to do with socks and shoes, and again, your own foot structure. So hopefully this helps you as you go on your quest to buy running shoes. Do know that your running shoes generally are different from your everyday shoes, and they're different from the shoes you might wear to Zumba or to weight train or whatever else. So be aware of that, try them out, test drive your shoes. Even test driving a pair of shoes in the store doesn't always translate to running a full mile in them. I tried on a pair of shoes in the store on the treadmill. They felt great, awesome. I was like, sweet, hallelujah, I found a great new pair of shoes. And then I took them out on the road, and within 1 mile, I had excruciating pain in the arch of my foot. And it was because this shoe had more cushioning than I'm used to and a little bit more arch support. And to me, my feet support themselves because I've trained them. So after a while, to have that arch support when I didn't need it, it was extremely painful. It was just like having a marble in the middle of my foot. So ask the shoe store what their return policy is. Make sure they're pretty forgiving. The more hesitant you are to buy the shoe, usually the more they're like, oh yeah, bring it back, you know, take it home, take it on a test run. And so be really hesitant, play the game. Another tip is running shoes can get really expensive in the running shoe store. So I do always feel guilty if I don't buy a pair of shoes from them after they spend a long time with me. But then once I figured out what shoe I like, I purchased my consecutive pairs of shoes from, you know, the internet. There's always some shoe sale somewhere. So look for the best deals, and then you can find cool colors, whatever you want, that they don't always carry in the store. So do, you know, use the store for that first purchase, and then you can usually order online after that. Sometimes be cautious. I've done online orders and the shoe is like the reject shoe, and that's why it was so cheap, and it's got issues and falls apart. So be cautious with that as well. Thanks for joining me, Christy, Real Fit for Real Life.